It's the Before Light vlog. So I had someone ask me about dreams, because they'll be discussing them in a group coming up this next week, and it's really got me stirred to talk about not just dreams, but I think what we're all really longing for. And I would say, so what this person that asked me about dreams, I had already shared with them, what I had already shared with them was that, it's not about the content, although it is, as much as what feelings does that content provoke. And specifically, what do those feelings seem to be about? Or maybe what do they not, maybe it's non-specific. Maybe it's just about how you feel. Because here's the thing. Here's one basic thing that I see about humanity is we're very lonely. And so I think there's a lot of loneliness that is treated, and I use the word treated because I believe a lot of these things are not to be cured. They're to be treated daily in relationship. And that's one of the metaphors that I believe is beautiful in the Bible, that God gives us our daily bread. And I believe part of that daily bread is relationship. Oh, my phone keeps turning. I'm at a bigger and bigger angle. I think part of that daily bread is relationship. And here's the thing I see is that we've got a lot. Most of our feelings we haven't dealt with. In the end, it will lead to sadness. So I don't think I have to worry about that one as much. I guess I really don't have to worry about any of them, but I do. And so here's the ones I worry about that I see that we overlook. One is hurt. We can't stop being in the victim role in our life until we admit we were a victim, no matter how small but then no matter how small the offense, we need to be heard. But then the key is to not stay in that victim role, but ask for freedom from it by praying for our offender. And then the other one is, like I just mentioned, is loneliness. And like I said, the treatment for that is to share about these other things. And probably the other couple other big feelings that we have not dealt with are basically the same thing with different words on them, which is fear and shame. I was specifically thinking about guilt. Like, let's say, for instance, around our sexual past. The Bible, I've looked long and hard, and I've never said this in public, I don't think, but the Bible doesn't really say anything about premarital sex, as far as I can see. That seems to be a widespread interpretation. It talks about sexual immorality, which even then, I'm not sure who gets to decide what that is, but I would say that most of our feelings about our own sexual history are more shame than they are guilt. Because, the truth is, we don't really seem to know what's wrong. And I'm not saying it, like just rampant premarital sex is good. I'm just saying that we don't really know if it's ultimately wrong, And Anyway, that's kind of another point, but the point is that our shame is just fear with different words on it, you know? Fear that we've been too bad for God to forgive us. Fear of what people will think of us is probably the biggest one. That's shame, you know, that is you know, fear with different language is shame, which is what will people think of me, or what's wrong with me. And if we really look at our dreams, then it's kind of, I think one thing we'll see pretty quickly is how many things we're really afraid of, how scary our dreams are, and then, you know, well, what are those fears? And again, sharing these things is, for me, the treatment to loneliness, which was another big problem for me. So I would really let these dreams be a pointer to our fears, which I think most of us, you know, as one book that I'm very fond of says, we are driven by, I don't know if it says 100 or 1,000, I think 1,000 forms of fear. And I think that's true for all of us. I don't think we realize how much fear drives our life. And when I say drive it, it's because fear has that much power. And that's what's really scary. And shame, if shame is just fear with another word, then shame has that much power. And that's scary. Because God has more power, but our fear really does physically and psychologically take us into a place where we have no control of ourselves and of our bodies. And I think most of us don't want to admit, or confess that that we have that little control, or even that we have no control. So that's where we need God's help to heal our fears and bring us back into relationship. So fear and shame, hurt, and then probably the other feeling that we haven't dealt with is anger. And something I'm seeing recently is that if we have anger, then someone has to be blamed, and that's not my experience over time. I think that's the thing we need to get over and past, is that if we feel angry, it doesn't mean we have to feel angry at someone, or it just means I wish it hadn't happened, or I wish it was different, or I wish this wasn't true. I want something different, something like that. All right, I gotta go, but I hope that helps with dreams, that I think what they can really lead us into is relationship, truth about ourselves, about our fears and our shames, and then daily treatment for loneliness. And then ultimately that leads to sadness and grieving, which is what a lot of us are missing as well. And for me has been the, you know, if I did use the word cure, that would be it. The cure for my anxiety is grief and loneliness. Grief and sadness, and grieving my losses, and my hurts and my angers, and I hesitate to use the word cure, because it's not a one and done. It is a lifelong process. So hope that helps with dreams, but not